What's up, guys? All right, I just had something pop into my head and I decided I'd make a video about it. So I'm just reflecting on some of the ways that I've changed and that life has changed since I've undergone this whole process of overcoming lust, of putting all of this chasing women, all of the corn, all of that whole world, that whole realm of behavior, just putting all of that aside. So this journey has very much transformed me in the way that I approach life. And so I'm learning a lot of things along the way about why it is that I struggled so much in the past with certain things. So what I wanted to talk about in this video is the value of no. The value of not just being able to say no, but being able to hear no. And getting over the fear of no. So I've realized that a lot of what's different about me and why I'm getting such better results in my life since I started this journey is my fear of no has all but disappeared. And what I mean by that is that I myself don't struggle to say no the way I used to. See, I used to struggle with like people pleasing. If somebody was like, hey Tim, we're going to go snowboarding next weekend. Will you come with us? And maybe part of me is like, well, those are my only days off and I really just want to chill at home. And part of me really just doesn't want to go. But I'm like pressured because I don't want my friends to think that I don't like them. I don't want to disappoint people. So I'll end up saying yes to something, even if it's something good. And it goes both ways too. Sometimes you say yes to stuff that you know is bad, drugs, alcohol, whatever, because you're afraid of disappointing that person. You're afraid to say no to something. And you not saying no to something is also you not saying yes to something. So by saying no to engaging in this activity you really didn't want to engage in, you said no to doing something that a deeper part of yourself knew that you needed. Right? Or you didn't say yes to self-care, to rest. So there's a phrase, I got this from one of my mentors, Paul Chek. He says, your yes has no value until you learn to say no. And I love that. That's something that you can really sit with for a while, really meditate on that. Your yes has no value until you learn to say no. And we all know the type, and a lot of us have been the type where it's like these little white lies that we tell because we don't want to disappoint somebody. We're afraid of whatever it is, this little awkward moment. Maybe somebody says, oh, I love such and such movie or such and such band. You know this band? And then your natural inclination is to be like, yeah, totally. And maybe you don't. You have no idea what they're talking about. But part of you you just want to keep the social interaction not awkward. And so you end up basically just lying. Because you're afraid to just be like, no, I don't know who that is. That's simple. And I've spent a lot of my life afraid of little things like that. Little things. And what ultimately that did was created a situation where I have a lot of people in my life that I'm not actually as close to as I could be. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I don't have a lot of close friends. And how could I? When people don't know like the real truth about me, when I'm telling little white lies or agreeing to do things I don't really want to do, that doesn't help people understand you. And you're afraid that maybe they'll abandon you if they understood you. But the thing is, if they don't understand things about you, if there's things they don't know about you, and those are the things that are keeping them involved with you, then they should be out of your life. See what I'm saying? Because then it's fake. It's a fake relationship. So why waste our time on fake relationships? See, what are we so afraid of? We're afraid we're going to lose somebody. If somebody leaves because you had enough self-respect to say no to something, good riddance. Those aren't your real friends anyways, right? We want to know who our real friends are. Those are the people that deserve our attention. So in the same way that it's very important that we can't be afraid to say no to people, we can't be afraid to hear no, which means we can't be afraid to ask for things that we want. And I realized this is another area of life that I've always fallen short in, is I've been very afraid to ask for things. So there's one phenomena, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this. This has been a thing in so many different ways in my life, like so many different jobs I've had. It's kind of like imposter syndrome. It's like as soon as I have a job, I'm instantly afraid of my boss. I'm not even sure why. It doesn't really matter whether my boss is nice or not. It's like just because they're my boss and the fate of my employment is in their hands, I'm suddenly scared of them. I'm more nervous around them than I am around somebody else, right? Because I've given them some power in my mind, right? And maybe I have questions. I don't know how to do something at work. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what button to push, or I don't know what, or I need time off, or I want to ask, is it okay if I do this? Whatever. And I'm afraid to ask these questions because I've given this person power, and I'm afraid that maybe I'm going to hear no, or I'm going to get a rejection. Or how many times has there been a girl that you're interested in and you really want to ask her on a date, but you're so afraid of hearing no that you never get the courage to just ask her? And so, for example, just now, I got a new roommate moving in. A guy's moving in like temporarily, which I'm not super stoked on. That's less privacy for me, but hey, I got to roll with the punches. He's a good dude. But he's staying with us temporarily, and he's kind of started like setting all his stuff up in our music room. So he's setting his kit up, he's making space. So it's like, okay, well, I have less space, less me time, but hey, whatever, I got to roll with the punches. But I noticed myself just go right up to him without even thinking about it and asking him if it was okay if I used his drum kit when he's not around. I said, hey, when you're not around, do you mind if I play on your kit? Do you mind if I use it to like record tracks? Or are you one of those guys that's like weird about people touching your drum kit? I just said it like that. That might seem like not a big deal to any of you, but to me that's a big deal because that's something that I would have avoided. I would have wanted to ask him that, but I would have been so afraid of him saying no, or maybe coming off as like weird for asking that question, that I would have avoided the entire interaction completely. And I just watched myself not even think about it. I didn't even think. I just went right up to him and said, hey, do you mind if I play your kit? Or are you one of those guys that's weird about people touching your kit? And he goes, actually, I'm one of those guys that's weird about people touching my kit. So if I'm not around, please don't. But if I am around, it's cool. Just ask me, And I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. No problem. And I didn't feel anything. And again, it's like, that might seem so why is that a big deal? For me, that's a huge deal because the old me would have just sort of hid. I would have been afraid to just ask for something that I want because he might say no. Well, he did say no. So what? I asked. So you can't get something you're afraid to ask for, So, yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there. We can't be afraid of no. Don't be afraid to hear it. Don't be afraid to say it. If you want something, go for it. What's the worst that can happen is you don't get it. Then what? You're in exactly the same position you started off in. See how that works? It's like if I go, say there's a girl I'm interested in, but I'm afraid to ask her out because what if she says no? Well, what if I do go ask her out and she says no? Well, now all that's happened is I've ended up exactly in the same place I started in. So nothing really changed. I got my answer. Now I know. You can start looking at life that way. So it's like you can't lose. Like even if she says no, well, okay, fine. I got some practice asking somebody something that I was scared to ask. I moved through fear. And now I know. And now I'm right back where I started without that girl. So big deal. All right. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Peace and love, you guys. Signing out.